This is the introduction to modulation, how to analyze and hear key changes. What is a modulation? A modulation is a change in key. It is confirmed by repeated accidentals and a cadence in the new key. So for instance, if we're going from C major into G major, you should generally have more than one F sharp or the leading tone of G. After finding the new cadence, work backwards to a common chord, or called the pivot, or a series of common chords called a pivot area. So between C major and G major, you could have 1, 2, 3, or 4 chords that will be unaltered in both keys, in C major and in G major. Within each key, Roman numerals should fit within the phrase model. So tonic chords can go to whatever. Predominance, like 4 or 2, must go to 5. 5 needs to go back to 1. Here are some examples of the most common modulations. These are the ones that we will be focused on for this video. In major mode, we have 1 to 5, tonic to dominant, or C major to G major. In the major mode, C major could also go to A minor, shown by Roman numeral 1 going to Roman numeral 6, so the tonic to the relative minor. We have, in the minor mode, minor 1 can go to major 3. So C minor, for instance, would go to E flat major. In the minor mode, we could also go from C minor or minor 1 to minor 5 or G minor. So again, we will focus on only these 4 modulations. Let's practice the spelling of different modulations. So in C major, if we have 1, 4, 5, 1, we're going to land on a C major chord. Okay. Now think about what would C major be in the key of G. So we would count now from G up to C. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now it would be 4 chord. So now 4 could go to 5 in the key of G major. Let's talk about the second one. If we're in C major, 1, 2, 5, 1. Now what would be C major, the chord, as a Roman numeral in the key of A minor? It would be a 3 chord. So 3 could go to 4, 5 to 1 in A minor. The strategy we're talking about here is view the old tonic as a Roman numeral in the new key. What are all the possible pivots between C minor and G minor? Okay, so what we could do here is go up the scale of C minor and see what are all the chords that could also be fit into the G minor scale. So C minor would be minor 4. A D diminished triad would not fit in G minor. E flat major would fit in G minor. F minor, nope, has an A flat in it. That would not fit in G minor. And then a G major chord, nope. G minor has a B flat, not a B natural. And we could take this further. So this is an important thing. A pivot chord is a common chord between 2 keys, and it can't be altered in either key. Moving on next to modulating tonal patterns. To modulate while using movable do solfege, which is our approach, assume a change in key. Usually, one chooses an easy stepwise passage for a key change, sometimes in preparation for new accidentals. Okay, so you want an easy spot where you can pivot in your solfege between the 2 keys. Even easier is to pivot around a pivot pitch that is repeated. So if you have repeated G's, the G's could be so in C major or minor, and then let's say a G could be me in E flat. Let's say we're modulating from C minor to E flat. Here are some melodic patterns, each in one of the typical modulatory keys. All right, I'll demonstrate the first two of these. So we are in major mode. If we look at number 1, do, re, mi, fi, so. Now assume that so is do. Do. Okay, we're in the key of 5. Do, re, do, ti, do. So this is how you could get your ear used to changing tonic. Let's take a quick look at number 2. Let me see. We start off in major mode. Do, re, mi, re, do, ti, la. Now la is do. Do, me, so, me, do. So now we've modulated from 1 to minor 6. And so similar things happen in numbers 3 and 4. So they go through the remaining 2 situations that we discussed before that were common modulations. Next, let's think about different harmonic patterns, and each are in a different modulatory key. Now, vocally, we can arpeggiate each chord. All right, I will demonstrate the very first one. Okay, so from 1 to 5, do, mi, so, mi, do, 4 chord, fa, la, do, la, fa, 5, 7. I would probably go down in range for this. So, ti, re, fa, re, ti, so, back to 1, do, mi, so, mi, do. Okay, so that same pitch, which is pitch C, now becomes fa. Okay, fa. So now we're parked on a 4 chord. Fa, la, do, la, fa. 2 chord. Re, fa, la, fa, re. 5, 7. So, ti, re, fa, re, ti, so. Then 1 in the new key. Do, mi, so, mi, do. These patterns will be fairly challenging, so these will take some work, but you'll be working on these in class as well. Next, how do we identify modulatory goals by ear? Let's assume a harmonic dictation that modulates from some key, let's call it key A, it could be anything, to key B, which could be anything. All right. Let's listen to the mode, major versus minor, of the starting and ending key. So if we stick to those 4 modulatory goals that we talked about before, okay, if we begin major and end major, then we've gone from 1 to 5. If we begin major and go to minor, then we've gone from 1 to minor 6. And you can see as well, if we go minor to major, then minor 1 to major 3. And if we go minor to minor, then we go minor 1 to minor 5. And then from this point, you could work out the bass line and then have a good idea of what the chords would be, what was the pivot chord, work on the soprano, and then your dictation comes into focus. This is the second part of identifying modulatory goals. So you want to analyze Roman numerals from the outside in. So start at the beginning of key 1, start at the end of key 2, and then work your way in. Around the pivot chord or area, remember that we can have more than one pivot chord. Listen to intervals, since the tonic may be temporarily unclear. Notate the soprano, that is the topmost line, and infer chord choices like usual. Change the inferred tonic at the pivot chord. So then you need to change over your solfege of how you're thinking at the pivot chord. Don't forget accidentals in key 2. And don't forget the possibility of applied chords in either key. Adding applied chords will show you have a much greater understanding of tonal harmony than just a straight up diatonic modulation. Let's get started with the dictation. Notice how we start off in the key of C major. It's 4 measures long. We have a pivot area between measures 2 and 3, and so we need to decide what is key 2 and what is cadence 2. So let's start, have a listen to this melody, okay, the entire chorale, and then pay particular attention to what is key 2. So there's our tonic, okay, 1, 2, ready, go. So it appears that this excerpt ended in minor mode, so on here, okay? So then let's think back to what happens when we go major to minor. So that meant we must have gone to minor 6 of the opening key. The opening key was C major, so you count C, B, A. So we must have gone to A minor. Okay, so let's mark in A minor and start working on the bass line. So this is what I have so far. Listen again. 1, 2, ready, go. Next, let's start looking at the bass line in particular. Okay, do, re, mi, mystery note. Ooh, that's chromatic. That would have been diatonic. So we went do, re, mi, fi. So, oh, that's down the octave. So, do. I'm right now at the end of cadence 1. So then now we've switched into A minor. So me, re, do. Now we have a leap. Let's spot check this note. Go down the scale. Da 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 dum. So measure 3 beat 4 must be fa or D. Chromatic note. So you have to think, is this going to be D sharp or E flat? And it has to be D sharp because it resolves up. Okay, it would have been E flat generally if it had gone down to D. Okay. All right, so now we've got our bass line. Okay, and now we can start working on the soprano. Take another listen. 2, ready, go. Okay, let's isolate the soprano. Okay, so there's our cadence in key 1. We're on parked on do. Okay, this is the first 3 notes of measure 3. So we jumped up to there, so we're now in the key of A minor. There's do. Okay, so we're definitely going down by step. If we can spot check the first pitch, we can get the whole group. So da 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 dum. Oh, measure 3 begins on so. So, fa, me. Ooh, I went up by steps, so that must be fa. Then I come down, down, down. Okay, so starting at measure 3, I must have so, fa, me, re, do. Let's check out that and some of the beginning Roman numerals. I've done the easier Roman numerals so far. Let's figure out what's missing. Okay, so starting off, we've got re in the bass. So it could be 7 diminished 6 or 5 4 3. Okay. So the question is, does it have so in it? And it does not. It has fa in it. So that must be 7 diminished 6. 1 6 has me in the bass. Okay, we now have Fi in the bass. So the question is, does this chord, does that sound like a 7th chord, or does that sound like a triad? And I would say it's not dissonant enough to be a 7th chord. So that's a triad. So that must be 5 6 of 5. Okay, and then we could figure out the other chords on various similar ways. Okay, so we can see what happened here. And here's the final answer with the inner voices, which you do not need to notate the inner voices, but it is a good idea for you to see what I had played. Okay, so the applied chords can occur within a modulation, and within each key you need to be able to hear what is diatonic, what's within the scale, what's chromatic, what's a departure from that scale. So you need to think in terms of tonalities, but also in terms of intervals. Let's end with a couple of thoughts for further improvement. So you want to sing a variety of modulating melodies. That's the first way that you're going to improve in this way. I would advise you to draw a vertical line on a sung melody. Let's say a melody from the Ottman textbook or another textbook, showing the point of modulation, and include one syllable before in the old key and one after the line in the new key. Okay? Do a variety of modulating harmonic dictations without applied chords, then add in applied chords. And after doing harmonic dictations with the 4 goals focused on here, include other diatonic goals, let's say modulating from 1 to the diatonically related key of 4, then chromatic ones, let's say going from 1 to the key of flat 6. And of course that gets more challenging.